O'Carroll Gabriel Thomas, also known as Kai, of Munich, who resided at Grand Bachelet St. Andrew, a retired pharmacist, passed away on Tuesday, 13 September 2022, at the age of 87. He was the husband of Teresa Thomas, father of Alva, Filbert, and Alfred, stepfather of Verlin, grandfather of Xavier, Kiana, and Wyatt, brother of Irvin and Israel, brother-in-law of Madonna, Augustine, Mago, Annie, Alice, and Anne, also known as Baby, father-in-law of Sylvia and Kimetta, uncle of 15, including Raoul, Ian, Frederick, Yvonne, Dickinson, Alison, and Aaron, great-grand-uncle of Lance, godfather of many, including Pammy and Sharma Lee, many other relatives and close friends, including Mr. and Mrs. Clive Alexis, Claudette and family, Mary and the Mason family of Grand Bachelet, Peter Mark, Eulin and family, the Thomas and Rouget families, Zambo and Gibbs family of Munich, the Joseph family of Carriacou, the Thomas family of Plaisance, the Charles family of St. Patrick, the Thomas family of Mamican, the Alexander family of Mamican and Crowshoe, the Noel family of Felix Park, the Fitzpatrick family of Grenville, the priests and members of the St. Martin de Porres Catholic Church and St. Vincent de Paul, members of the Pharmacy Council, and friends and neighbours of Crowshoe and surrounding areas. The funeral of the late O'Carroll Gabriel Thomas, also known as Kai, of Munich, who resided at Grand Bachelet St. Andrew, will take place on Thursday, October 6th at 1 p.m. Funeral service will be held at the St. Martin de Porres Catholic Church, Crowshoe, St. Andrew, and interment will be at the Churchyard Cemetery. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Maria Oliveira Victor, also known as V of Sater St. Patrick, passed away on Thursday, September 1st, 2022, at the age of 73. She was the mother of Henry, Kathy Ann, Yolande, Tracy, and Jason Victor, father of her children George Alexis, adopted mother of Sonia Iginua, grandmother of Jade Paul, Joshua Elahi, Rondell Griffith, Hensley and Brianna Victor, Kareem Phillip, Jamil Hilaire, Jelani, Natifa and Jamil Franklin, and Jeremy Alexis Victor, great-grandmother of 6, sister of Edna Lawrence, Sylvester, and Phyllis Victor, aunt of Joan, Tony, Junior, Cheryl, Sylvia, and Raphael, godmother of Crystal Hilaire. Many other relatives and close friends, including Marilyn Nurse, the Jeremiah, Miller, Alexis, Adams, and Belfort families, Dr. Mark in Saudi Arabia, the Ferrandas family in Singapore, the Bain and Victor families of Padmata, Mary Pascal, Loyola Fletcher, John Raymond Cato, Maria Prince, Deliva Lewis, Maureen Wilson, Lazarus Mark, Rita Francois, Agatha Young, Joan Warwood, Annie Bernard, and friends and neighbours of Sautez and the surrounding areas. The funeral of the late Maria Oliveira Victor, also known as V, of Sautez St. Patrick, will take place on Thursday, October 6th at 1 p.m. Funeral service will be held at the Sautez RC Church, and entombment will be at the Marley Cemetery. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Mary Ann Daisy Mitchell, also known as Ma Days of Grand Roy St. John, passed away on Thursday, 15 September 2022, at the age of 76. She was the mother of Stephen St. John and Diane Mitchell Batiste in Grenada and Keisha Nash in the USA. Grandmother of 8, including Marissa, Stephen, Jamal, Elijah, Kishon, and Tahim. Great-grandmother of Jeremiah and Hosea. Sister of Hubert, Glenda and Angela in Grenada, Phyllis in the USA, Mary, Cecilia and Sally in the UK, Lynette and Lindy in Trinidad. Niece of Agatha Registe in the UK. Mother-in-law of Kenville Batiste in Grenada and Kellon Nash in the USA. Aunt of many, including Lynthia Mitchell Azor, Lycia, Lincoln, Kedra, and Stephanie. Grand-aunt of many. Many cousins, other relatives and close friends, including Marcia Registe in Saudi Arabia, Peter Registe in the UK, Winston Otley in Trinidad, Ralph, Bernadette Murray and family, Daphne Howell, Nadjalyn Mitchell, Irma Henry, Pastor Harrison George and family, Pastor Sperry Binder and family, Jacqueline and Merrill Holder, lawyer Arlie Gill, and friends and neighbours of Mount Brazier, Grand Roy and surrounding areas. The funeral of the late Mary Ann Daisy Mitchell, also known as Ma Days of Grand Roy St. John, will take place on Thursday, October 6th at 1 p.m. Funeral service will be held at the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Grand Roy, according to Grenada Baptist rites, and interment will be at the family cemetery, Grand Roy. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Olive Francisca Thomas of Fort St. Andrew passed away on Monday 26th September 2022 at the age of 69. She was the mother of Wendell, Nathalie and Marvin, grandmother of Kalani, Casida, Akeem, Akima, Nathan and Everton, mother-in-law of Fabian Mitchell, sister of James, Matthew, Dean, Denise, Jean, Anne, Rita, Sarah and Omega, aunt of many other relatives and friends, including members of the Telescope Seventh-day Adventist Church, Rhonda Charles, Nurse Yomi, Cho's Health Foundation, Tonty B, Miss Wilson, Ashley, Savalin, the Thomas and Frederick families of La Follette, the Moraine and Mitchell families of Pomrose, the Whiteman family of Content, the Augustine family of Montfan, the Wickham and Rush families, the Moraine family of Petite Esperance, the Hippolyte family of Thebaid, and friends and neighbours of Ford and surrounding areas. The funeral of the late Olive Francisca Thomas of Fort St. Andrew will take place on Tuesday, 11th October 3rd at 2 p.m. Funeral service will be held at the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Paradise, St. Andrew, and interment will be at the Grand Bras Cemetery. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Ursula Scott Alexander of Glebe Street, Satez, and Latente St. David, who resided in Brooklyn, New York, died on Wednesday, September 14th, 2022, at the age of 97. She is survived by her children Francis Alexander, Junior Isaac, and Chrisley Scott in the USA, and Joseph Francis in St. Thomas, Virgin Islands. Grandchildren Christopher Hutchinson in Grenada, David Alexander, Diana Wilson, Sean, Shane, and Jamie Alexander in the USA. Great-grandchildren Isis, Ayana, Inalia, Romello, all in the USA, and Sean in Grenada. Many relatives and friends in the USA, Grenada, and Trinidad. The funeral service for the late Ursula Scott Alexander of Glebe Street, Satez, and Latente St. David, who resided in Brooklyn, New York, will take place on Wednesday, October 12th at 1 p.m. Funeral service will be held at the St. Patrick Anglican Church, and interment will be at the Morley Cemetery. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Bailey's Funeral Home. Maria Theodora Thora Monroe Campbell, also known as Betty of Beaulieu St. George, died on Friday, September 30th, 2022, at the age of 79. Left to mourn her daughter Louisa Campbell Walcott, son Lenroy Monroe, brothers and sisters Eleanor Monroe in Canada, Wavell Monroe in the USA, Reverend Sampson in Canada, Loxley Monroe in Canada, Reverend Aggie Andrews, Lee in Canada, John in the USA, Lydia Monroe in Canada, Bonanza Monroe in Canada, and James Monroe. Grandchildren Stephon Strawn, Jaden Strawn, and Austin Monroe. Nieces and nephews too numerous to mention. Daughter-in-law Amanda Monroe. Son-in-law Douglin Walcott. Former son-in-law Brent Strawn. Close relative Clarice Charles. Caretakers Jeanette Entwine and Earl Thomas. Other relatives and friends including the Monroe family, the Thomas family, the Alexander family, the James family, the Kerwin family, the Batiste, Lewis and Andrew families, the Seventh-day Adventist family circle, and the many persons to whom she was a mother and assisted. The funeral of the late Maria Theodora Thora Monroe Campbell, also known as Betty, of Beaulieu St. George, will take place on Tuesday, 11th October at 2 p.m. Funeral service will be held at the St. George's Seventh-day Adventist Church, and interment will be at the Beaulieu Family Cemetery. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Bailey's Funeral Home. Thomas Mitchell, also known as My Lord of Crowshoe St. Andrew, passed away on Thursday, 22nd September 2022, at the age of 79. He was the brother of Lillian, Teresa, Nathias, Yvonne, Essie, Meralda, and Inez. Many nieces and nephews. Other relatives and friends including friends and neighbors of Crowshoe St. Andrew. A memorial service for the late Thomas Mitchell, also known as My Lord of Crowshoe St. Andrew, will be announced at a later date. Arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Peter Gordon Frederick, also known as Arthur, of Waltham St. Mark, passed away on Monday, 3rd October 2022, at the age of 69. The funeral arrangements for the late Peter Gordon Frederick, also known as Arthur, of Waltham St. Mark, will be given in a subsequent broadcast. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Gabrielle Gloria Crosby, also known as Gabby, of Brooklyn, New York, USA, passed away on Monday, 26th September 2022, at the age of 13. The funeral arrangements for the late Gabrielle Gloria Crosby, also known as Gabby, of Brooklyn, New York, USA, will be given in a subsequent broadcast. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home.
And Jeffrey née Fortune of La Fortune, who resided at Cedars, Maday, St. Patrick, passed away on Thursday, 29 September, at the age of 84. The funeral arrangements of the late Anne Jeffrey née Fortune will be given in a subsequent broadcast. Funeral arrangements have been entrusted to Bailey's Funeral Home.
Lorna Maria George, also known as Natty, of Union St. Mark, who resided at Grand Roy St. John, passed away on Wednesday, 21st September 2022, at the age of 59. The funeral arrangements for the late Lorna Maria George, also known as Natty, of Union St. Mark, who resided at Grand Roy St. John, will be given in a subsequent broadcast. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Bailey's Funeral Home.
The management and staff of MTV extend deepest condolences to those of you whose loved ones have passed on. Thank you for watching.
I am Godwill James, an MD and a member of Gateway Assembly. Medically, death is regarded as an end or a cessation of life. Different groups view death in different perspectives. While some regard death as a continuation of life, others view it as an infeeble form of life. As a Christian, we may want to view death as a separation of the soul from the body. So, whichever way one may view death, I want to say that may the gentle soul of the faithful departed rest in the bosom of the Lord. Amen.